There is this culture that everybody keeps on admiring. Everybody keeps on feeling like they are the one who owns it. And some people feel like they can just come and erase it and replace it with something else.
Well, and welcome to another day in the racist ass United States. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the globe and we're going to talk about culture. Because there's one culture here, dear, that's under attack and it's going to affect everyone no matter where you live. Did you know that there's one culture that dominates the globe? Everything from the clothes that you wear to the food that you eat to the music that you listen to. One culture that dominates, baby. I mean, dominates. Black American culture. And it's under attack here in the US of A. And you might be thinking to yourself, what the fuck is this white girl talking about today? Who brought you jazz? Black Americans. Who brought you rhythm and blues? Black Americans. Who brought you soul? Black Americans. And this one's really gonna sting. Who brought you rock and roll? Black Americans did. In places like Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, I do think that white people are absolutely jealous of black people, specifically with the community, and also with like fashion and music and everything else that is appropriated. But by design of what whiteness is, it inherently lacks community. And I think we're absolutely jealous of that. And I've heard biracial people say that they do see that difference in their own families. Because in addition to European cultures being more individualistic than cultures from Africa, South America, and indigenous North American cultures, the invention of whiteness in America erased a lot of ties to actual culture. So when I say like white people, black community, I'm not talking about like Polish people or German people or Irish people. As I explained in my book, I just wrote the intro and I'm working on the conclusion today. You'll keep me in your prayers. In the course of human history, white is a relatively new term. As we discussed in the introduction to this book, white is a North American term emerging from the 1600s as a term to justify the enslavement of Africans and squelch revolts from poor Europeans and indentured servants. Before this term, Europeans would identify with their nationalities. The Irish, Italians, Germans, French are all very different cultures. Thus, there is not the same communal tie to whiteness as there is for people from other communities. Further, since white was created to be a divider, a separator, it is not a happy identity. It is not something people want to admit they relate to. It doesn't have a rich, healthy history. Speaking as a white American who has conducted national level research on white Americans, we tend to say things like we have German, Irish, Italian, etc. ancestry, even if we have never been to those places. This is because all white Americans have ties to immigration, and because these identities are actual cultures, they do not have roots only in oppression. Now, we know who started colonization, right? So this is the book I'm trying to finish by Monday and send to the editor. There's a free chapter in my bio if you're interested on one of the unwritten rules of work. The book is predominantly about class, but I talk about 3 other identities that you can't talk about class without talking about these other identities, and race is absolutely one of them.
That was Black Americans who brought that to you. Rap, dear? Black Americans brought that everywhere. You can go all across the globe and you will find some soul food. Yes, you will, boo. Let's talk about the clothes that you wear, the way you do your hair, your makeup too, brought to you by Black American culture, boo. As a matter of fact, Black American culture and their fashion has reached the heights of Gucci, Versace, honey, name a house today. They look the way of Black American culture before the clothes are made. It is the most dominant culture on the globe, and it is under attack today by the mediocre-ass white men here in the US of A. So if you think racism is just an American problem, baby, well, it could affect your style, your music, your hairdo, the food you fucking eat, and your freedom too. because it was black Americans, baby, that set the stage for civil rights for every fucking body across the globe today. I am so fucking tired of hearing people talk about my fellow black Americans as if they haven't provided to us everything today. Everything. Hell, even the way you speak was brought to you by black Americans. The slang you use, honey, was brought to you by black American culture. All of it. Black American culture. And they deserve some respect for that. Because where the fuck would we be without it? Listening to dull-ass music, eating flavorless fucking food, and all dressed the same like we're in a fucking cult, boo. That's where you'd be without black American culture.
Get it twisted. The reason why they want to take black political power is because that's working class wins. When black folks gain freedoms inside this society, everybody gains freedoms, all the working class, all right? When black women get liberated, all women get liberated. When black men get the same pay as white men, all men make more money. And that's what they're against. They do not want to see the working class have a win. It's not about disenfranchising black people specifically. It's about disenfranchising black folks because their coalition with white people to gain progress is a challenge to the white supremacy power structure. Don't get it lost in the sauce. All right? So that means folks that look like me and talk like me need to step up and have a voice in this moment, because this fight has been going on for generations. This ain't brand new. This has been around for a long time. And rednecks and hillbillies all knew this back in the day. They knew that their problem was not a black man gaining rights, working beside black folks. That was not the struggle. The struggle was against the corporations and the wealthy people that run our society. And they run it in the benefit to them, not to us. All the language that they use is coded in a way that gives you a hope that they're going to do something for you. But when's the last time they provided anything for you? Exactly.
White people are regretting calling trying to put black culture under attack. Because right now, there are dominant culture that is now under attack, and that is black culture. And I feel like when somebody attacks a black culture, then they are attacking black Americans. So let me put it this way. Black Americans are under attack, all right? Because when somebody tries to attack what is yours, when somebody attacks this glass and it's mine, it means that somebody has attacked me, all right? So they are trying to attack black culture. They are doing all they can to erase black history. What do I mean by they're attacking black culture? I'm saying this because black Americans have sweated, have died, have cried, have lost people, have lost names, have lost languages to keep this culture. They have lost everything. They have lost homes to keep this culture, to build the American culture. But every single day, the world comes up with a new story on how to drag down black culture, how to destroy black Americans, on how to make it seem like black people are the one who copied from the white Americans' culture. I have clips here. Watch them. I will come back with more comments about the video.
This is why they hate blacks in America so much, the white power structure. We're the only non-white people in the country who cannot be sent home. Right. You cannot be deported. Slavery destroyed your cultural, psychological, and intellectual connection to your ancestral homeland. If the Ghanaian get on your nerve, he go back to Ghana. If the Puerto Rican gets on your nerves, he go back to Puerto Rico. If the Afro-Cuban gets on your nerves, he or she go back to Cuba. If the Chinese get on your nerves, send them back to China. If the East Indian gets on your nerves, send them back to India. If the Arab gets on your nerve, send them back to one of the Middle Eastern states. But when American Africans get on your nerves, where do you deport us to? Most American Africans are so brainwashed, they think they're American. So you cannot deport them because this is what they identify with most. So in other words, the white man created his own problem, which makes it almost impossible to deport us. So the only way to get rid of us is a systemic system of racial genocide. And that's what they're using.
Why do white people resent black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, like, how much did white Americans actually do in all that time? If we are to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by like nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And like, to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you like totally deny. The existence of black people for whom success is like second nature when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it, I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest black excellence? Like, what will help you? And for that, I would suggest like a lot of therapy, like a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye.
I get it. I'm over 50, white, handlebar mustache, small town Oklahoma. Half the time I'm dressed like I'm fixing a tractor carburetor in 87, so people see me and automatically assume, hell yeah, brother, Trump 2028. I swear to fucking God, conservatives see overalls and think I came factory installed with Fox News. And I'm standing here like, sir, I believe healthcare is a human right and billionaires should pay taxes. I fucking hate racists. I stand with the LGBTQ community. Fuck fascism, fuck authoritarianism, and any grown man demanding loyalty like he's some spray-tanned king can kiss my entire Gen X ass. I'm tired of being stereotyped because apparently if you're an older white dude with facial hair in Oklahoma, people assume you spend your weekend screaming at Bud Light cans and blaming immigrants because your fucking lawnmower won't start. And meanwhile, I'm over here wanting universal health care and wondering if capitalism is just pyramid schemes with neckties. So I think we need some kind of fucking system. Some kind of identifier for liberal rednecks, like a secret lapel pin, maybe crossed fishing poles over a pride flag, maybe a secret handshake, like instead of MAGA hats, we quietly whisper, Dolly Parton is a national treasure. And if the other person answers, protect trans kids and tax the rich, boom, you found one of us. I mean, we are out here, camouflaged in flannel, hidden beneath mustaches, and trying to sneak empathy into rural America one confused stereotype at a time.
Black people are not angry enough because we won't let them be. We have added so much criminalization and stigmatism to the expression of black anger. We are not letting them express how bad things actually are. When they express an appropriate response, we get uncomfortable, and white discomfort is unsafe. We hold so much systemic power that if anyone makes us uncomfortable, it is an unsafe environment for them. We have too much to answer for. I have too much to answer for. I knew police brutality was bad. I knew that. But I didn't make a post about it until Alex Preddy was murdered. I made a video about Trey Reed. but I believed it was like an isolated incident. I was shocked when I heard the news. That is the white privilege I've been able to live with, to think that this was an isolated incident. I didn't know that lynchings had never stopped. There wasn't even an anti-lynching bill until the 2020s. There was no legislation about lynching until the 2020s. And I had the privilege to believe it wasn't happening anymore. So when I heard it happened to a young black man who had nothing to do with the rage being directed at him, he was the definition of an innocent bystander receiving the victimization of mob violence, just like every other lynching in our history. And my sensibilities about the way this country is were disturbed. Keith Porter Jr. was just as murdered as Alex Preddy and Renee Good. It took protesting for white people to receive the police brutality that the black community has been facing since there was a black community. Renee Good and Alex Preddy were only murdered because they are better white people than us. We need to sit with that and then stand up. Why do only black artists and Haley Williams make music about police brutality? It's not just a staple of the hip-hop genre. It's not a thematic element. It is the ongoing continuation of the single greatest crime ever perpetrated against humanity. 2/3 of the world's nations just agreed that the Atlantic slave trade was the greatest crime against humanity, and our country disagreed with them. Why do you think that might be in the country where we were barely even taught the traumas and tragedies and crimes of slavery? Why would our country take that stance? I'm not proud to be an American. I'm deeply, deeply ashamed.
Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, people lost life, people lost families, people lost names, people lost identity, people lost languages, people lost everything. They were shipped to America via the ships and everything. Some tried to avoid going to the Europe. They had to dive into the water, thinking that they could be able to swim back to their motherland. But you know how it goes. The waves in the ocean can't compare with the waves on the lake. The waves on the ocean are always stronger than anything. And then also, the ocean has a lot of animals to destroy human beings. Okay? So, when they went to America, there's something that they carried them with. All right? Black spirit, black culture, black food, black fashion, black music, and more of them has been being added on some aspects and making them look more good and more beautiful. So I feel like the world is tarnishing a black America's name, and the whites want to erase the black culture to replace it the white culture. If you somebody asked a white man, what is the white culture? And right now I'm asking you, what is the white culture? Because I feel like maybe you know about the white culture. Because if you can explain what is a white culture, then you know what is black culture. I will tell you why. White culture has been made, has been invented, has been approved by black culture. Why? Black Americans are the first native people, the only human race to be in America. So, if America has anything to offer the world, then they must have been learned from the black culture. So, white culture is a black culture. Believe. White culture is a black culture. Because they will keep on erasing it, avoiding it, cursing it, but deep down they know one thing is clear. Black culture has the branches of teaching the world on how to survive. Good music, good food, good light food, everything good must come from black culture. So no one is going to attack a black culture, because that culture has been dominating the whole world, has taken over the whole world. So no one is taking over a black culture. Tell in the comments, do you feel like the white culture is a black culture? Peace be with you. And I'm out. I love you. Let's meet in the next episode. Next time. Bye.